Yeah, absolutely. One guy that I did not get really in any league is Devin Singletary. And, I kind of looked at it coming in as like he's never been good sharing any type of workload. But the Bills have already shown us 4 weeks into the season that when it hits the fan, like Devin Singletary is their guy. We saw it in week 3 when Miami was just sending blitz after blitz in the first half. And they're like, we don't trust anyone else in this situation. We've got to just put him on the field. And then last week, they fall down early in the game, and he just dominates snaps again. So the Bills have shown us that the guy that they trust in the foxhole situations is Devin Singletary. As gamers, do we need to just follow suit?
I think we have to. I think Devin Singletary shows up in the huddle and he's like, I'm still standing. Like he's probably got like Elton John going, like, you can't get rid of this guy. Like he's still there.
Nope.
We were all excited about James Cook, me included. And that's the archetype we like, right? Passing down back, pass heavy offense, explosive playmaker. Doesn't matter. Like he's not getting on the field. To your point, Devin Singletary is like completely locked down this backfield. 87% of the snaps last week. I mean, come on. In the top passing offense in the league. And then targets, 18 and 16% over the last 2 games. That's the big thing to me, Rich. If he's going to now be involved in the passing game, he was PFF's lowest graded receiver last year with running backs that ran at least 200 routes. And so that really kind of put me off of him. I'm like you. I did not get any of him. And I thought that paired with how heavy they went after and it wasn't just James Cook. It was the fact that they went after McKissick. They had even been on Chase Edmonds before that. I was like, man, the Bills have a plan here. They don't. And I think they still may wish that Devin Singletary wasn't the guy on the field in passing downs, but he's the one that they feel you said it, they can trust. And so he's on the field. I got him as my RB 15 this week. Like they're 14-point favorites. And I looked over at Fantasy Pros consensus rankings for PPR. Devin Singletary is RB 26. Like, come on, people. Like, you can't put him that low. Like, he gets the short down and distance work. He's got 86 and 88% of the short down and distance work over the last 2 weeks. Now, Josh Allen has punched in the touchdowns, but people get in my mentions are like, man, he can only score if he breaks long runs. I'm like, guys, you notice he's on the field down there. Like, they're not going to do this to Josh Allen all year. Yes, Josh Allen will be a nuisance. Like, I'll tell you right now, Devin Singletary is scoring a rushing touchdown this weekend. Like, it's going to happen.
Put it on the board.
He's scoring a rushing touchdown. He's going to catch passes. And I want to get your thoughts on this, Rich, because when you look at the Bills, receivers beyond Stephon Diggs, as much as the hype around Gabriel Davis was there, he's dealing with an ankle, whatever, let's set all that aside. Like, we still don't know if Gabriel Davis can earn targets at a high rate. He could still be good in fantasy because they pass so much and Josh Allen is good, so he can come through with his boom weeks. So folks, don't get me wrong. Like, Gabriel Davis is still a high-end wide receiver 3, even if he doesn't get better. That was always my stance on him. And if he got better, then wow, like the ceiling was to the moon, but his profile historically with the target earning ability is not in the thing. All the underlyings around him, it was really like the comps were not good. Now someone will always break a trend. But my concern is like Gabe Davis doesn't really earn targets, and Dawson Knox, as much as people love him, he does not earn targets either. And if that's the case, like this target share stuff could really stick with Singletary. And if it does, and an offense that throws as much as they do, like that's the part that gets me the most excited about Singletary.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, when the initial the offseason began, thought that the Bills were still going to be in the mix of adding a wide receiver. That was part of always the Gabe Davis corollary. It's like, well, when they get in the draft, they're still probably going to throw a bullet. And they did a later round guy on Khalil Shakur, who we might see, have to play in this slot role, but he's a pure slot guy. I think a lot of people were still anticipating them to add another guy that can compete for boundary targets in case Gabe Davis still continued to not accrue targets on his own. And that's
Jake Kumerow doesn't count.
Yeah, he doesn't, man. Unfortunately not. Because the Bills have been an interesting team to start the year. And me and Dan talked about this on our matchup show. If you look at Josh Allen, his ADOT is way down. His rate of deep throws are way down. And as a byproduct of, one, Gabe Davis, playing hurt, but also outside of Stephon Diggs, they don't have anyone that commands targets in that area of the field. You had guys like Emmanuel Sanders and John Brown on the field with Gabe Davis. Gabe Davis was still getting peppered in, over those course of the 2 seasons. And now you look at after Stephon Diggs, it's Devin Singletary, second on team in target with Isaiah McKenzie. And those guys are low ADOT players. It's going to, where the targets go is going to inflect on your ADOT. And that's what's happened so far. But it absolutely can say, because who's going to come? Who are the Bills adding to come collect downfield targets? I mean, Gabe Davis can collect some more, but he, like you said, he's not shown to be like this guy that's going to push like getting targeted on 20% of his routes. Just that's not who he's been so far in the NFL. He's a big play guy. The targets he does get are typically like front read plays. Either the play was initially designed for him, like the touchdown he had against the Rams, or it's like a deep shot play like we saw him against the Rams where he's the initial read. And if that read's there, he's going to get Allen's going to put it up in the air. But typically
the way defenses are playing, right, which the Bills have basically set the pattern. Like there's just less of these players coming through. His style, his archetype.
This archetype of player,
yeah.
It's a tough. It's tougher to win in the NFL that way, and we're seeing it with the utilization of how the Rams are trying to use Allen Robinson and the way teams are defending them. Like, I mean, listen, I'm not going to try to defend what's going on with Allen Robinson, but the dude's running 2 routes right now. He's just running hitches and goes. Like all he's running routes, he's running hitches and goes. That's all he's doing in the offense. And that's kind of what Gabe Davis does. And like, if teams are going to play like they are against the Bills, you're going to play and you're going to sit in cover 2 and you're going to sit in quarters a lot. Like, you're not going to, unless you start scheming stuff up, like by just byproduct of the offense, like that, those routes are just not going to be what is going to be.
So maybe it's
there.
Isaiah McKenzie. We got to run the smash route, where Gabe Davis is outside, you run the hitch, and then you get the corner route, right, out of Isaiah McKenzie. Yeah, man, it's but I think this is good for, Devin Singletary. So I think, can he hang on to this all year? Can James Cook carve out more of a role? Zach Moss, I'm not worried about. Like, we've seen it long enough. But maybe James Cook could carve out a little bit work later in the season, but he's clearly not ready right now because they're not using him that way.
No, and he's had some shots. They peppered him in. Obviously, it is a bummer. He starts the season off the fumble, but they bring him in last week too, and they run a design play for him, and he dropped the ball. Again, just, you just need to get some confidence. He just needs to get some confidence instilled in him and get going.